耶稣圣名正道。
Hallelujah. In the name of the Lord Jesus, I speak.
各位亲爱的兄弟姐妹、亲戚朋友，大家晚上平安。
A good evening to all brothers and sisters, friends and relatives.
在这个忙碌的生活里面，要相聚在一起，实在是不容易的事。
In today's busy world, it's really hard to find time to gather together.
能够在一起聚会听道理，那更是真诚的祝福。
And to be able together to worship and listen to God's word is indeed God's blessings.
愿真神与我们同在。
And may the true God be with us.
也纪念祝福你这一颗追求的心。
And may the Lord bless your heart of searching for Him.
这几个晚上的布道会，我们都来探讨思想一些永恒的问题。
So these few gospel nights, we shall study and explore things concerning eternity.
就是对永恒的一些事情、一些道理，我们去想一想，去思考一下。
So we shall discuss and think about matters pertaining to eternity.
有一次电视台有一个节目叫做《想一想》。
There once was a TV program called Let's Ponder.
那这个节目是在12点夜深人静的时候才播出的。
And this program was aired in the midnight when everything is quiet.
那广播员呢，在夜深人静的时候，就用很诚恳、很温柔的声音这样的说。
And the TV host in that late evening would use a very sincere and a quiet voice to broadcast.
想一想过去，
Let us ponder about the past.
想一想现在，
And let us ponder about the present.
想一想将来。
And let us ponder about the future.
过去的不再回来，
What is past will not return.
想一想我们的过去。
Let us ponder about the past.
想一想现在，
And let us ponder about the present.
现在的应当去珍惜。
We should all treasure the present.
想一想我们的将来，
Let's ponder about our future
将来我们可以去追求。
so that we can pursue that we can have something to pursue
在
in
这
the
个迷失
future.
的世代里面，
So in this lost world,
有一位哲学家这样的说：
there is a philosopher who said this.
我思故我在，我因为思想，我有存在的价值。
I think that's why I exist, and because I'm able to think, that's why I have this value of living.
人如果不懂得思考，那就好像机械人一样，
And if a human cannot think, then that person is like a robot.
那是没有生命的、没有思想的在走动。
So he is living and walking without life and without thinking.
在思考当中，我们会得到一些答案；
And only in thinking can we find answers.
在思考当中，我们会看到一些真相。
And only through thinking can we find the truth.
我们的行动、我们的决定，都来自我们的思想。
So all our actions and decisions come from our thinking.
思想正确，那决定就正确；
And if our thoughts are correct, then our decisions will be right.
思想错误，那决定就会错误。
If our thoughts are wrong, then our decisions will be wrong.
因此，思想也决定了一个人的价值，也决定了一个人的成功或失败。
So one's thoughts will determine one's values as well as one's failure or success.
思想可以决定了一个人的一生，
And one's thoughts can determine a person's life.
是幸福还是继续的错误。
And it can determine whether your life will be a blissful one or you would continue to go the wrong path.
因此，有人说，思想正确，一生不败。
Therefore, there's a saying that goes that if your thoughts are correct, then your life will be smooth.
我们今天晚上来到这里，神的殿，不是思考如何发达、如何成功、如何更拥有，我们不是思考这些。
So today we have come to God's temple not to think about how to be rich and how to be successful.
我们到神的面前来，就是思考永恒的问题。
We have come to God's temple to ponder about things eternal.
第一个问题就是，到底有没有真神？有没有神？
So the first question for us to think about is there really a God?
如果有神，那么我们应当放下改变我们一生的成见，
So if there truly is a God, then we should put aside our lifelong bias.
以谦卑感恩的心来敬拜这位真正天上独一的真神。
And with a humble and a grateful heart, we should come to worship this true
如
God.
果没有神，
But if there is no
我
God,
们讲的再美，讲的再感动，那也是空的，
regardless how eloquent or how well I deliver my
因为根
message,
本没有神啊。
it's useless because
那
God does not
我们来
exist.
聚会做什么？
So why do we still come to
我们来
worship?
行道理，做什么？
Why do we have to practice God's word?
我们讲到天国这么美，也是空的，
So even if we paint heaven is so beautiful, it's still empty
因为没有神啊。
because there is no
没有
God.
神就不用今天晚上布道会了，不用了，也不用我们平时的聚会了。你聚会来做什么呀？
If God does not exist, we don't have to attend this gospel night. We don't have to come for church worship.
但是如果有神，
But if there exists a God,
每个人都要来敬拜神。
then we all should come and worship this
那
God.
到底有没有神呢？
But is there then truly a
我们
God?
看圣经给我们的答案，
Now let's look to the Bible for an answer.
请看罗马书第1章
Please turn to Romans chapter 1,
20节到22节。
verse 20 to 22.
罗马书1章20到22节，
Romans 1, verse 20 to 22.
请念。
Okay. Romans 1, verse 20. For since the creation of the world, his invisible attributes are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. 21. Because although they knew God, they did not glorify him as God, nor were thankful, but became futile in their thoughts, and their foolish hearts were darkened. 22. Professing to be wise, they became fools.
好，那其实虽然我们看不到神呐、
So although we can't see God,
但是我们借着神所造的这个世界，这个宇宙万物，我们就知道有神的存在。
but from the creation of the universe and the world, we can see that God exists.
这里说是叫人家不能够推诿的，不能够去反对的，
So here, this verse tells us that it's something that we cannot deny.
因为那些宇宙万物不是自然有的，不会自己会跑出来的。
Because the universe does not exist by itself.
有一个人，他到森林里面去，他在森林里面迷失了，
There was a person who was lost in the forest,
走了好几天都走不出来，
and he walked many days, but who could not get out of the
甚至
forest.
他往森林的深处越走越深入里面。
And as he kept walking, he just went deeper into the forest.
后来他绝望了，
So he was finally in
他认
despair.
为他会死在森林里面。
So he felt that he would ultimately die in the
可是
forest.
就在他绝望的时候，
But just at the moment of despair,
他看到了什么？
what did he see?
他看到森林里面有一间房子，有一间屋子啊！
He saw that in the forest there was a house.
突然间，他就充满了希望了。
And all of a sudden, he was full of hope.
为什么看到一个房子就充满希望呢？
So why is it that after seeing a house, he was full of
请
hope?
问你在森林里面，你看到一间房子的时候，你的第一个感觉、第一个反应是什么？
Let me ask you, what would be your first reaction upon seeing the house in the forest?
我们第一个反应就是有人。
Our first reaction would be there's someone there.
你怎么知道有人？
So how do you know that
你根
someone
本
is
都没有
there?
看到人，
Because you haven't even seen a
你也
person
没有听到人在讲话。
and you haven't heard of a human.
可是我肯定的有人在这里，
But I'm sure that someone is
因
there
为我看到这个房子，
because I've seen this house.
房子就是个证明有人，
Because the house proves that someone lives there.
至少有人曾经住过这里，在这里一段时间，至少
At the very least, someone had lived there before.
这个是我们那个基本常识，基
So,
本的常识。
so this is a very basic common sense.
basic 的，你不用说读很多书，也不用说去研究科学才知道的，不用的。
It's very basic. You don't have to do a lot of research or read a lot of books to know this basic common sense.
但是我跟你讲，没有啦，没有人。你虽然看到房子，也是不是人造的，这个不是人造的。
But some may still say that, oh, there's a house, but I don't believe that someone is there or don't believe that
那不
someone
是
had
人造
built
的
it.
怎么会有呢？
So if no one built it, then how could the house come into
我说是
being?
猴子造的，
So I can say that, I can claim that, it's the monkeys who
或者
built
是
it
或者是野猪造的，
or the wild boars.
你相信吗？
Do you believe it?
我说不是人造的，
I say it's not created, it's not built by a human. It's by the monkeys and the wild
我
boars.
在讲什么呀？
So what am I talking
我在
about?
羞辱你的智慧啊！
So I may be ridiculing your
好了
intelligence.
这个不是猴子造的啦，
Okay, then, this house is not built by the
没有
monkeys.
人造的，
No one built it.
它自己跑出来的。
It just appeared by itself.
在森林里面不主动发生什么事情啊？突然间有那个屋子啦。我的解释是这样，
So I don't know what happened. Suddenly there's a bing, bing, bang, bang, and then the house appeared.
你相信吗？
Can you believe that explanation?
这么简单的一个房子都需要人去建造
So even a simple house would need a builder.
啊，更何况这是宇宙万物。
What more this complex universe?
我们读过书的人都知道，今天的这个宇宙啊，非常的奥妙，
So-
非常的深奥，
So those of us who have gone to school, we know that this universe is very
不
complex.
可能是自己这样跑出来的。
It's impossible that it would just appear by itself.
后来现今的科学家说是从爆炸中出来的，乒铃乓啷出来的。
So today's scientists, some claim that the universe came about through the Big Bang Theory.
我开始也是笑这种理论啊，笑它。
In the beginning, I laughed at this theory.
你相信吗？一个东西，一个房子，乒乒乓乓就做出一个小房子了。创纪爆炸，然后就有房子出现；创纪爆炸就有这个花朵出现。你信吗？
So can you believe that things can be created through big bangs?
后来我为什么相信？
But in the end, how did I
在
believe this
在
theory?
这个宇宙当中，是这个今天这个世界，这个宇宙是从爆炸中才产生一个宇宙的，才产生今天的世界。
Okay.
你为什么我会相信这个？
So why do I believe that today's world and today's universe came about because of the Big Bang?
你注意看《创世纪》第1章第2节，
If you pay attention to Genesis chapter 1 verse 2,
地是空虚混沌，
so the earth was empty and
那
void.
个是个黑暗的世界。
It was a dark world.
第1节是神创造天地，第一个世界，神创造天地，第1节，
So verse 1 says that God created the heaven and
那
earth.
是 original 的世界，
So that was the original
最
earth,
最早
the original
最
world.
早最早的宇宙世界。
It was the very early world.
第2节就突然间爆炸了，
But
毁
in,
坏了。
but in verse 2, then there was this big bang and there was this
爆炸了。那
explosion.
到第3节的时候，才说神在重新创造那个世界。
And only in verse 3, it said that God once again recreated the world.
科学家他们找到的答案只找到第2节的问题，爆炸，宇宙爆炸。
So the scientists can only found evidence for verse 2, which showed that the universe
这个是
exploded.
对的，曾经爆炸，
So-
被毁坏掉，湮灭黑暗，空虚混沌，是真的。
So this is correct. It exploded, and so everything was void and empty.
那过后才有这个新的世界，也是真的。后来神才再一次的创造。
And
第
later-
3节，神的灵运行水，再一次的创造。
Later on in verse 3, once again, God recreated when His Spirit hovers over the
可
earth.
是他们没有追到第1节上去，
But
没
they,
有。
but they did not push it back to verse 1.
他们科学家追到第2节就停了。
The scientists only studied up to verse 2 and they
为
stopped.
什么不追到第1节去，再追到最初的第1节原始世界去呢？神创造天地呢？为什么？
So why don't the scientists try to prove to the very first verse which says that God created the heavens
如
and
果你
earth?
追到第1节去，科学家追到第1节去，他们就要相信神了。神创造天地，这是他们不能接受的，这个是世界不能够传说的东西来的。
But the scientists would not be able to accept that God created the heaven and earth, so they stopped only at verse 2.
stop 在那边了，不再上去，
So
再上去就看到神了，神在创造。
So they stopped at verse 2 because if they keep going back to verse 1, then they will see that it was God who
所
created the
以
world.
近代的科学家的灵都是大爆炸，世界宇宙被爆炸，然后才产生世界。原来他在讲第2节，然后跟第3节。可是我们知道圣经还有第1节，真神创造天地。
So the current scientists only believe in verse 2 and 3 about the Big Bang Theory, but they did not go back to verse 1, which clearly says that God created the heaven and earth.
神是宇宙万物的创造者，
So God is the creator of the
所以
universe.
从今天我们看到宇宙万物，包括我们这个地球啊，跟这个太阳系，就知道有神。借助这些，知道有神。
So today when we see the universe, the earth, and the solar system, we believe that there exists a God.
可是这里说罗马书1章21节说，他们虽然知道有神，却不把神当作神来荣耀他。
But Romans 1:21 tells us that although they knew God, they did not glorify him as God,
也不感谢他，
and nor were they thankful.
如果要拜神，我不拜天上的真神，我去拜那些所谓的创造的神。
So if I want to worship a God, I don't want to worship the heavenly God. I like to worship the things that were
所以
created.
有人去拜那个木头啊，有人拜那个石头啊，有人拜种种创造的神。我就是不要拜真神。
So some people would worship the trees and the rocks, and they just refuse to worship the true God.
如果要感谢，我也不感谢真神，我感谢那些人，感谢那些伟大领袖，感谢这个，感谢那个，我就不是感谢神。
And if I want to be thankful, I'll thank the great leaders, the great people of the world, and I just refuse to thank God.
确实，圣经讲的就是我们今天世人的心态，世人对神的那种背叛的心态。
So the Bible was very accurate in describing the current mindset of the people today.
因此这里说，那神就让他们的思想思念变为昏暗了，变为无知了。
So God then allowed their hearts to be futile.
22节说，他们自称为很聪明哦，反而成了愚拙无知了。
22 says, professing to be wise, they became fools.
所以我们在神面前要谦卑，
So before God, we should be humble.
谦卑的相信有位真神。
We need to humbly believe that there is a
这不
God.
是一个理论，是可以查考的，可以感觉的，也可以看到的。
So this is not a theory. It's something you can experience, you can study.
好，那既然有神，我相信有神。
So since I believe that there is a God,
那请问神是一位怎样的神呢？
then may I ask, what kind of God is He?
神当然他有很超大的能力，一定当然是很超越的。
Of course, God has supernatural powers.
那我们就不再讲他超越的能力了。
So we shall not cover His supernatural
我们来
abilities.
讲这个神的道德是怎么样的，他的品质、quality 道德是怎么样的。
So now let's just study His values as well His moral qualities.
好，我们马来西亚有很多庙堂啊，也有很多拜神的那种庆典那种节目啊。
Okay, in Malaysia, we have many temples and idol worshippers and idol events.
有一次在拜神的节目的时候，有一个做妈妈的抱着2、3岁的孩子，手上拿着很多祭品来拜他的神。
Okay. One time, there is an idol worshipper, a mother who carried her young baby on one arm and her things that she was going to offer to the deity on the other hand.
那他手累了，就把孩子放在神案上，就是神台上，然后去拿祭品来拜神。
So her arms were tired, so she placed the baby on the altar and used her both arms to carry the items to be offered.
那回家过后，这个孩子就生病了。
But upon returning home, this child became
再
sick.
过1、2天，这个孩子死掉了。是。
After 1 or 2 days, the baby died.
那他妈妈很伤心啊，怎么会这样子呢？
So this mother was so sad. How come this happened?
又到回那个庙里去问神啊。
So she returned to the temple and asked the idol.
那神怎么讲呢？
And what did the idol God
我
say?
把你的孩子吃掉了。
I have eaten your child.
他妈妈听到吓到了。
And when the mother heard this, she was shocked.
你怎么可以吃我的孩子呀？
How can you eat my child?
你放在神案上、神台上，我以为你是要给我的啊。
Because you
我
placed
以为呀。
the child on the altar. So I thought it was to be
妈妈
eaten.
哭到没有眼泪啊！怎么你以为你是神呐、你不知道你不知道的咩？我要给你还是不给你？你不知道的呀！你是神啊！
So the mother kept crying, saying, "You are God. Can't you tell whether I want you to eat my child or not?"
这个事情哦，在我们马来西亚登报纸登头版很大的新闻呐、
So this-
神不知道，吃了信徒的孩子，神不知道。
So this was a big headline in the Malaysian newspapers. The caption read that God did not know and mistakenly ate the
这
baby.
种事情哪有说不知道的呀？不
So-
知道你还叫什么神啊？
So-
那我做神好了啦，我都知道啊，
So how
你也
can
知道啊。
this God be so ignorant? I can be a better God.
好，这就是无知的神啊，无知，
So this is indeed an ignorant God.
比我们人更加无知。
He is even more ignorant than humans.
那从他道德来看，
And looking at the idols,
我们在
looking at God from the morality's point,
我们在乡下住的人，常常去山林啦、玩啦，去河边玩水啦，在森林大自然里面。
Growing up in the villages, we would go to the rivers, the mountains, would play among the nature.
有时因为在森林里面没有厕所，我们就这样小便啦，是不是？
Sometimes
很平常的。
Sometimes in the forest, there's no restroom, so very naturally we'll just relieve ourselves anywhere.
然后孩子回来呢，就生病啦，发烧啦，做噩梦啦。
Then when the child returns from the forest, the child have nightmares and have a fever.
许多妈妈又去问神啊，去庙里问神啊。
And then many mothers would go to the temples to ask their
那
deities.
几乎神都是这样回答：哦，你的孩子在山林里面得罪了山神呐、他在河边那边得罪了河神呐、为什么得罪？因为他小便。
Then the deities would respond to the mother's query saying that, oh, your child have offended the mountain gods or the river gods. Why? It's because they have,
小便在他面前。
yeah, they have relieved themselves in front of the deities.
哦，我们都是这样听了太多这样的解释了。
So we have heard so much of such
我
explanations.
们来看这个神的道德。
Now, so let's look at this God's morality.
有一个盲人瞎子正在路上走路，
There is a blind man walking on the road,
有一个高大强壮的人在对面走过来。
and someone opposite was coming. Someone big and strong was coming on the
这个
opposite
强壮的人
direction.
看到瞎子走过来，他就站在路中间，在那边等他。
And this big,
是吧？
strong guy saw the blind man approaching, then stood in front and tried to block the blind man's way.
瞎子不知道啊，走呀走呀，就撞到他了。
And the blind man didn't know that, so he kept walking and then hit on this strong guy.
你为什么撞我？就打到那个瞎子，乒乒乓乓打到他冤枉啊，打到他半死啊。
Then this strong and big guy then asked, "Why did you walk into me?" And then he started to hit this blind man.
如果你在旁边，你看到这种情形，请问你的感受如何？你的感想如何呀？
So if you are a bystander looking at what happened, how would you feel?
这个瞎子他看不见，
This blind man can't see,
你看得见，
but you have good
你应
eyes.
该要闪一边让他过呀，
You should have give way and let the blind man
因为
pass
你看得见啊。
because you can see.
你不单止要闪过一边，甚至你还要帮他牵着他走啊！
You not only should give way to him, you should have offered your help.
你怎么还在打他呢？
How can you even beat him up?
一个有道德的人、有良知的人就不做这种事，绝对不会做这种事情，绝对。
A moral person who has a conscience would surely not do this.
只有没有道德的人、没有道理的人，只有恶霸流氓才会做这样的事情。
Only a person without morals, such as gangsters, would do such evil
我不是要批
things.
评人家的宗教，
I'm not trying to
我们
criticize
是在
other religions.
讲道理来思考一些问题。
I am just sharing so that we can think.
如果他真的是神，神当然是很崇高的、很圣洁的，但是他的行为、他的品德一定要好过我们啊！怎么可以这样不讲理来打人家，不打到人家半死呢？甚至要人家的命呢？他怎么可以这样子呀？
So if God is high and mighty, then so if high and mighty, and if He's holy, then how could He beat up a person and wants his life?
哦，我相信有神，
I believe that there is a
但
God.
神应该他的道德是怎么样的？
But how should this God's
我
morals
们
be?
看圣经怎么讲。
So let's see what the Bible have
神
to
应该
say.
是充满着爱的，
God should be
应
full
该
of
是
love.
善良的。
God should be kind.
我们看约翰一书第4章，
Let's turn to 1 John chapter 4.
约翰一书第4章，
1 John chapter 4.
我们读7节到10节
1 John chapter 4 verses
7 to 10。
7 to 10. Okay. 1 John chapter 4 verse 7. Okay.
对啊，
Okay,
是啊
verse 7. Beloved, let us love one another, for love is of God, and everyone who loves is born of God and knows God. 8. He who does not love does not know God, for God is love. 9. In this the love of God was manifested toward us, that God has sent his only begotten Son into the world, that we might live through him. 10. In this is love, not that we loved God, but that he loved us and sent his Son to be the propitiation for our sins.
这里都一直在解释神是爱，
So this passage kept explaining that God is
啊，
love.
甚至我们还做罪人的时候，他就这样为我们而死，来到这个世间来拯救我们。
So even while we were sinners, he came to this world to save us.
所以他劝我们认识神的人、敬拜神的人，也要这样彼此相爱，过一个善良相爱的生活。
Likewise, we believers, we need to lead a life of loving one another.
啊，这就是神的道德，神的那种善良，那种让我们很感动的地方。
So this is God's moral standard and God's love that truly touches us.
要拜就拜最好的，
So if we want to worship, let us worship the
他的品
best,
质、他的品德，一切都要高过人的。
so that his qualities and his attributes should be the highest.
我相信神，
So I believe God,
我现在也知道神是一位怎样的神。
and I now know what kind of God
那
this
为
is.
什么我找不到神呢？
But why then can I not find this
这
God?
是我们要思考的第三个问题。
So this is the third question that we should ponder.
我一直找神，我体验不到，我找不到。
So I keep searching for God, but I can't find him, I can't experience
其
him.
实其实找神是有方法的，
In reality, there is a method
不是
to
你
search
这
for
样
God.
用人的方法这样乱去找，你这样用人的方法找不到神。
So you don't just simply use man's method to search for God. You may not find
纵
him
使
through
你
this
找到
way.
的，你以为是神，结果不是呀。
And even if you thought you found this God, it may not be so.
有一个人，他就是要去找神，
There is a person who wanted to search for
那到
God.
哪里去找呢？
And but where did he
他就
go?
到街上去找。
So he went to the
啊
streets.
当他去街上的时候，他经过一个庙里面，看到那个庙被大火烧毁了，可是那尊偶像啊，有一尊偶像没有被火烧毁，他认为这个是神啊。
So as he was walking on the street, he passed by a temple and saw that the temple was burnt in a fire, but the idol was left intact. So he decided that this is the
因
true
为
God,
大火都不能够烧毁它，那它的力量一定是很大的。
because he thought that even the great fire cannot destroy this idol, so this idol must be
他就
super powerful.
拿回去拜了。
So he took the idol and worshipped at his
有
home.
一天，他家里的猫跑到神案上去，尾巴一转，身体一转，把这个神像打碎了，
So
碎掉了。
one day his pet kitten went to the idol and his tail just swiped the idol and it fell and it cracked to pieces.
他想要打这只猫的时候，突然间发现到，哇，猫比这个神像力量更大。
So as he was about to reprimand the cat, he realized that, oh, this cat is stronger than the
他
idol.
只是转一个身罢了，这个神像就碎掉了。
So the cat merely made a turn and the idol fell into pieces.
猫最伟大，
So he thought that, ooh, the cat is the
又
greatest.
拿来拜了。
So he started to worship the cat.
真的是有人拜猫拜狗的，是真的。
Yes, indeed, there are people who worship the cats and
有一
dogs.
天，他家里来了一只流浪狗，
And one day there came a stray dog,
狗看到猫就咬那个猫，猫就跑掉了。
and the dog saw the cat, bit the cat and ran
他
away.
发现到哇，狗比猫更伟大，那就拿狗来当神拜了。
Then this person realized that the dog is greater than the cat, so he started worshiping the
有一个
dog.
比一个的力量更大呀，更厉害呀。
So he saw that the one after another, their strength was greater.
有一天，这只狗呢，把他太太心爱的鞋子咬破了。
So one day, this dog bit his wife's favorite pair of
他
shoes.
太太生气就啪就踢他一脚啊！
So his wife was so furious that she kicked the dog.
喂，你为什么可以踢我的狗啊？他是神呐、啊！
Then
你
this
知道他多厉害吗？
Then this man said, "How can you kick my dog? He's a god. He is super powerful. Do you know
什么
that?"
厉害？再厉害，再踢多一脚。
The wife said, "No, what's super powerful?" Then she kicked the dog
结
again.
果那只狗汪跑掉，不敢再回来了。
Then the dog went crying and dare not return.
哇，这个人发现到太太比狗更伟大，哇，太太很厉害呀、啊，太太最伟大。
So this man then realized that his wife was greater than the dog. So the dog is the wife is the
那
greatest.
我要好好的重新，以后要好好的来对待太太了，要当她是神这样来供奉她。
So from today on, I should treat my wife well and treat her like a goddess.
可是想啊想啊，不对呢，
But the more he thought, he said, it's not right.
到底谁最大呀？
So who then is the
在家
greatest?
里我做工回来一坐上去，水来一杯，
Afterward, I sit down and I request, bring me the water.
我衣服一脱，他就跟我拿去洗。
And when I take off my coat, I say, bring it to
我
wash.
肚子饿了就喊一声饭还没好啊，就马上拿来了。
And when I'm hungry, I said, rice please, and it's served to me.
到底谁最大呀？
So who then is the greatest?
自从那天起，他突然间发现到觉悟起来，我最大。
So from that day onwards, he realized that he is the greatest.
我是最大的。
I am the greatest.
从那天开始，他不再找神了，
So from that day on, he stopped searching for God.
他也不再拜神了，
And he stopped
因为
worshiping
他发现
God
那些根本不是神，我最大。
because he realized that those are not gods, but I am the
我
greatest.
就是神。
And so I am God.
这故事想起来很似曾相识，就是很熟的感觉。
So this story sounds very familiar.
许多人开始他也是想要找神的，
So many people started off truly searching for
他也
God.
是想要去拜神的。
They truly want to
他
worship
也用一个
God.
很单纯的心去拜这个拜那个，结果他发现那都不是来的，他很失望。
And they truly have used a sincere heart to search and worship this God, but it was the wrong God, so they were
甚
disappointed.
至被骗，
And they were even
所
deceived.
以后来他什么都不信了。
So in the end, they refused to believe in any
我
gods.
做好我自己，
I just do my
我
very
什么
best.
都不信，
I don't believe in
那些都
anything.
是骗人的东西。
All those out there are deceiving.
结果让我们永远都找不到真神，也敬拜也没有再敬拜神。
So this caused us to disbelieve in God forever and make us stop worshiping
你
God
找
altogether.
神，但是你没有方法。
So you did try to search for God, but your method was wrong.
你说有方法是用你的方法去街上找的，那怎么行呢？
So you said that you have a method, but your method was simply going to the street. That is not the right method.
找神是要方法的。
So to search for God, you need a correct way.
有一个人在森林里面遇到危险，
There is a person who met with danger in the forest,
那被森林的一个部落的酋长救到了，救起来了。
and he was saved by a tribal chief he met in the
然后
forest.
这个人就请这个酋长到城市他的家里面去玩耍，
So
去
this
玩呐、去
So this person then invited the tribal chief to his home in the city for a visit.
那过几天，这个酋长要回到森林里面去了。这个人说：“那我送你，你想要什么，我送给你。
So a few days later, when it's time for the tribal chief to go back to his village, this man asked him, "What gift would you like?" ”
你想这个酋长想要什么呢？
So you want to guess what did the tribal chief ask for?
他一直看他那个厨房那个水龙头啊，他一直看。
So he
他说
kept-：“
我要那个。
He kept looking at the faucet in the man's kitchen. I want that.
你要这个来干什么？”
So he asked, "Why do you need the
我
faucet?
说：“你这个可以不可以送给我？
Can you give me your
你
faucet?"
要这个来做什么？
So he asked, "Why do you need the
不要
faucet?
这个啦，
Don't ask for
我
this.
送你更好的东西啦。
I give you something
他
better."
说：“不要，我就是要这个
I
水
said-
龙头。
He said, "No, no, no, no. I just want this kitchen faucet."
结果这个人真的送他水龙头了。
So this man then gave the tribal chief the
回
faucet.
到森林，他就召集他的部落全部来集合。
So he went back to his village and called all his villagers before him.
我这几天离开你们到城市去是没有白走的，没有白费的。
So he said, "These few days I went to the city. It was not a waste of time.
我发现了一个很神奇的东西，
I discovered a very interesting thing.
是从今以后，我们冲凉吃饭什么用水不用到河里面去了。
So from today on, when we eat or when we shower, we don't have to go to the river."
那些部落听到冲凉煮饭什么不洗衣不用去河里，那去哪里洗呀、
So the
去哪里
village-
冲凉？我们说冲凉啦，你们是说洗澡。我那是讲长啦冲凉啊，对不起，马来西亚讲惯了叫冲凉。
So the villagers were surprised, saying, "Oh, how can you not go to the river to bathe or to cook or to wash your clothes?"
是拿出我有了这个东西，有了这个东西就不用到河里去了。
So the chief brought out the faucet. He said that with this thing, we don't have to go to the river.
大家没有看过这什么东西呀、这么神奇呀、
So they have never seen this amazing thing.
真的是假的？无影不？
Is it true?
有了这个东西就不用去河里冲凉，不用河里拿水，有影不？
So is it true that with this thing, we don't have to go to the river to bathe or to get water?
好，你们不信是吗？看好了，看好啊！
So if you don't believe, look
不
closely.
要眨眼睛啊！
Don't blink your eye.
要开了，水要来了，
Water is coming. I'm going to turn. So he
Maybe.
started turning,
没有水了
but there's no water.
啊！对不起，对不起
I'm
不是
sorry.
不是这样，不是这样，
This is not
应
the
该是
way.
要返回来，
I
转
should
转头来，
I should turn it
开的，
counterclockwise.
哎也没有水。
But still, there's no water.
奇怪，我明明看到有水出来的哦，这样转转就有水出来的哦。
This is strange. I clearly saw that you just have to turn and the water comes
我
out.
想到了，
Oh, I thought of a
我
way.
看到的时候是这个水龙头哦，一定要放在墙壁，向着墙壁才会有的。
Oh, I saw that the faucet has to be attached to the wall. So let's put it by the wall.
那他们怎么会有墙壁呢？
But how on earth would they have
他
a
就
wall?
放在那个树干、树那边，插树那边
So he put it by the tree.
啊，一定要有一个东西这样插在里面才可以的，才可以。
So only if there's something that the faucet stays on, then water comes out.
结果答案是什么？我们都知道，怎么会有水呢？
But we all know the answer. How could water come out of the
那些
faucet?
部落说：“哎呀，酋长啊，你给人家骗了，
So the villagers
骗你了，
said, Chief, you have been tricked.
没有骗我，
He said, No, I
我
wasn't
亲
tricked.
眼看到了，
I personally saw it.
而且我也曾经去开过，
And I've also turned it myself.
真的有水出来。
And truly water came out.
请问这个酋长有骗他们吗？
So let me ask you, did the tribal chief lie to them?
酋长的见证是真的，没有骗他们，是真实的，没有骗他们。
So the experience of the tribal chief were real. He did not lie to them.
那个请他去的那个人也没有骗他，
And the friend who invited him to the city also did not
那
lie
大
to
家
him.
都没有骗，见证是真的，为什么没有水呢？
So if
见
no
证是真的。
So if no one lied and the testimony is true, then why then is there no
当
water?
然我们都知道答案哦，那条掰没有接好咯。
But we all know the answer because there's no pipe connected to the
那条
faucet.
掰接到那个源头，水的源头，你一开就有了，接好了就有了。
So if only there's a pipe connected to the water source, then the faucet will
这
flow
就
water.
是方法。
So this is the method.
你说你相信神，
You say that you believe
你
in
也
God
曾经找神，
and you have searched
为
for
什
God
么你找
before,
不到？
but why did you not
你
find
体
him?
验不到，
And why you cannot
就
experience
是你
God?
那条掰没有接好。
It's because your pipe had not been connected correctly.
那条掰是什么？
And what is that
接到
pipe?
神那边去的。
The pipe needs to be connected to God.
看圣经给我们的答案，
Let's see what the answer that the Bible gives us.
请看希伯来书11章。
Please turn to Hebrews chapter 11.
希伯来书11章，我们读第6节。
Hebrews 11, verse 6.
呀，请念。
Okay. Verse 6. But without faith, it is impossible to please him. For he who comes to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him.
这个是圣经给我们很明确的一个答案。
So this is a very, very clear answer given by the Bible.
每一个人，无论是谁要找神，都要用信心这个方法来找神。信心，
So whoever wants to search for God must come with faith.
人非有信，如果你没有信心，就算你到神的面前来，你也找不到神，你也不能够得到神的喜悦，你也找不到他，感受不到他。
Without faith, you will not find him. You will not receive his. You will not be pleasing to him, and you cannot find him.
因为到神面前来的人，必须相信有神，一定要这样的相信，
Because those who come before him must believe that he
然
exists.
后且信他能够赏赐那寻求他的人，在寻找他的人，他也会让他找到，会赏赐给他，会祝福他，会让他体验。
And he must also believe that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. So we must believe that he will bless us and
那
reward
个
us.
信心就是那个管子，那条带啊，接好它，接到神那边去，那就通了。
So this
通了。
faith is this pipe that connects us to God. So once it's connected, then it will flow water.
你不信这个方法，
But if you don't believe this
神
method,
告诉我们要用这个方法，你说不用的，不用这个方法的，
God has told us this method, but we refuse. We say, no, I don't need this
不用这个
method.
方法，那请问你用什么方法？
So if you don't use this method, then what method can you
你
use?
那个方法可以用吗？
Can your method be
你
used?
那个方法找得到神吗？
Can your method help you find God?
神给我们这个方法就是用信心接受他。
God has given us the method, which is to use faith to accept Him.
可是今天有时候人我信耶稣，我信耶稣，那个信根本不是信来的。很多人说信耶稣，不信耶稣讲的话。
So today, many people will say that I believe in Jesus, but in actuality, these people do not truly believe in Jesus.
那根本其实不是真正的信。
because those are not true faith.
好，那我
A true
们
belief.
今天永恒的探索来思考，就是关于神的问题。第一，有神吗？
So today, through the topic of eternal exploration, we have explored first, is there a God?
如果有，那神是一位怎样的神？
And if there is a God, then what kind of God he is?
那我相信有神，也相信神的道德，是善良完美的。但为什么我体验不到？
But if I believe that there is a God, and I believe that he's a moral God and full of loving kindness, but then how come I still don't experience him?
我们现在来想一想来探索我们的人生。刚才是探索神，现在是探索我们的人生。
So earlier on, we have explored about God. Now let us explore about our life.
人生是什么？人生就是人的一生。人的一生是什么？叫做人生。
So what is human life? Human life is the whole life of a person.
难道就是要出生，然后就长大，然后就读书，然后就考博士，然后就出来毕业做工，做工就买房子、买车子、买结束？难道人生就这样子吗？
So is human life merely being born, to grow up, to work, to get married, buy a house and work? Is that and go and on? Is that what a human life
你
is?
很成功，你很厉害，然后就这样子嘛，然后老了牙齿没有了，走路没有力了，然后就说很成功。
Or is human life merely getting praises from people saying you are so successful, but all your teeth are dropping and you're losing your health? Is that what is human
到底
life?
人的真相是什么？人生的真正的情形是真相是什么呀？
So what is truly the current state, or what is truly human life?
听说有一只狐狸从森林跑到葡萄园去。
There is a wolf who went to the vineyard. There's a fox who went to the vineyard,
可是他没有办法进入葡萄园里去。
but he was unable to enter the vineyard.
可是狐狸很聪明，
But the fox was very wise, cunning.
总会想办法，绞尽脑汁，怎么样进去。
He would find ways and means to enter the vineyard.
结果他就看到一个小洞，
Finally, he saw a small hole.
唯一可以进去的就是这个小洞。
So the only way to enter is through this small hole.
但是他身体这样，他怎么进去呢？
But his body is so huge, how can he go through the small hole?
这是难不倒狐狸的，狐狸很聪明，
But this can't deter the fox. They are very
他就
smart.
想到一个好方法，
So the fox thought of a good way.
把自己饿到2-3天，饿到瘦，饿到皮包骨，然后就钻进去了。
So he made himself hungry for a few days. Finally, he lost a lot of weight, very thin. He was able to go through the hole.
进到里面就大大的享受了，享受葡萄了。
So when he entered the vineyard, he enjoyed himself with all he can eat the grapes.
谁跟你讲葡萄是酸的？谁
So,
讲的？
so whoever told you that the grapes are
葡萄是
sour?
甜的，
Grapes are sweet.
所以他每天都在享受葡萄。
So every day he would enjoy the sweet
早上
grapes.
吃，中午吃，晚上吃，你想吃就吃，
So he had-
尽情的吃，
So he had the grapes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it's all you can
就
eat.
是 enjoy 啦，每天都 enjoy 就是了。
So every day he just enjoy himself.
可是再好吃的东西也会有腻的一天呢。
But no matter how tasty something is, you would get sick of it pretty soon.
最终他感觉到，诶，这里不是我的家，
Then one day he realized that, this is not my home.
在享受。这里也不是我的家，我的家在森林啊，我要回家了。
No matter how enjoyable this place is, this is not my home. My home is in the forest. I need to
还
return.
有，他发现另一个问题是，这里是危险的，因为这里是有主人的，有人的。
Then he also realized that this place is dangerous because this place has an owner.
好了，不玩了，不吃了，我回家了。
So I'm going to stop playing, stop eating. I'm going to go home.
回到去那个，他怎么样出来呀？
So again, the small hole, but he's so big size. So how can he get out?
这个他又只好把自己饿到2-3天饿，甚至多加1倍的时间，瘦到跑出来。
So again, he doubled the time and started dieting, and finally he lost weight and he was able to escape.
一出到来啊，狐狸突然间觉悟好像明白了一件事情，就讲了一句话。
So after his escape, this fox suddenly came to this realization.
如果是你，你认为这只狐狸他会讲什么？
So if you are this fox, what realization did you think he came up to?
我称为狐狸的觉悟，突然间明白了
I call this the fox's
觉悟。
awakening.
我进去的时候是独子空空，我出来的时候也是空空。
So he made up this saying, and it goes like this: When I entered, my stomach was empty. When I came out, my stomach is also empty.
那不是百忙一场吗？百干一场吗？
So this shows that all that he did was in vain.
这就是人生的真相，是真的。
So this is the true description of human life.
我们看传道书第5章，
Now let's turn to the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 5,
我们读15节到16节。
verses 15 to 16.
传道书5章15、16节。
Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 15 to 16. 15. As he came from his mother's womb, naked shall he return, to go as he came, and he shall take nothing from his labor, which he may carry away in his hand. 16. And this also is a severe evil. Just exactly as he came, so shall he go. And what profit has he who has labored for the wind?
这两节圣经道出我们人生的真相，确实是这样，真正的情形就是这样。
So these two verses exactly described very accurately about human life.
我们从母腹侧身而来，也必样要侧身而去。
So naked we came from our mother's womb, and naked shall we
那在
return.
过程当中，我们劳碌得来的，很辛苦得到的，付出很大的代价所拥有的，我走的时候一样都带不走，也是空空的，两手空空的。
And through this process, all our labor, all that we have achieved and attained, we cannot bring them as we leave this world.
连最轻的空气、最没有重量的空气，我都带不走呀。
Even the lightest substance in this world, the air, we cannot bring with
这
us
里
when
说
we
他来
die.
的情形怎样，那他去的情形也是这样，那不是空空吗？
So-
来空空去空空。
So how you came, that's how you shall return. So it means that you come empty, you shall leave
你
empty.
也许不喜欢，不能接受这样的讲法，
Perhaps you cannot accept this passage.
但是这个是事实，不喜欢听，事实也是这样。
But this is the reality. Even if you don't like to hear this, this is the
但
reality.
是我今天晚上跟你见证，
But tonight, let me testify to
我
you
们信神的人，信真神的人，就不是空空的。
that if you believe in the true God, then you will not return
没有说我
empty.
们来的时候是空空，但是我们走的时候绝对不是空空的。
It's true that we come empty-handed, but when we leave, we will
我
not
们
leave
带着
empty-handed.
神充满着真神的爱回去的。
We will carry with us the abundant love
我们
of
带
God
着
when we return.
盼望天国的盼望回去的。
We will re-
天国的盼望的。
We will return, bringing with us the hope of heaven.
我们知道我们回去的时候，走的时候，离开这世界，绝对不是空空的，是满满的。
So we know that when we leave this world, when we return, we will leave
但
abundantly.
是如果没有真神，
But if you do not have the true
或者
God,
有神我不拜这位真神，
or if there's a true God but I refuse to
那
worship
老
him,
实说，我的到最后就是空空的。
then I honestly tell you that you would leave
是啊
empty-handed.
你很厉害啊，是啊，
Of course, you're very
你
capable,
也是有很多钱，你很本领啊，
and you're very wealthy and
大家
very
都赞美
capable,
你、称赞你啊，
and everyone praise you and adore you.
那又怎么样啊？
But so what?
走的时候我问你，那又怎么样啊？
So when you leave, so what? What can you do? What can you take?
你能够带走什么呢？
Can you take anything with you?
连最轻的空气都带不走。
Even the lightest air, you cannot take it
那
with
你
you.
夸口什么？你骄傲什么呀？
So what is there to boast? What is there to be proud of?
信神的人，信耶稣的人就不是这样。
But believers of Jesus are different.
好，因为时间关系，我们现在来思考天国的美景。
And because of time, now let's explore the beauty of heaven.
我们信主耶稣最大目的就是将来的天国，这是信耶稣最大的目的。
So the greatest purpose of believing in Jesus is heaven.
如果信耶稣不是为了将来进天国，那请问你信耶稣做什么？
So if we believe in Jesus not for the sake of entering heaven, then let me ask you, why do you need to
我不
believe
相
in
信天
Jesus?
国，你不相信天国，你信耶稣做什么？
So if you say that I don't believe in heaven, then why do you believe in
难道你
Jesus?
信耶稣只是要耶稣祝福你在世上平安，然后孩子考很厉害、很聪明，然后赚很多钱，难道只是要这样？
So-
如果只是要这样，那不需要信耶稣了，因为信其他的都 OK 的，
So-
也会发达的，信其他也会发达的。
So if you tell me that you believe in Jesus only for the physical and material blessings, then you don't have to believe in Jesus. You can believe in other things and you can still be materially
信主
blessed.
最大的目的就是死后复活进天国，是最大的目的，也是神救我们最大的目的来的。
So the greatest purpose of believing in Jesus and the greatest reason why Jesus saves us is so that our bodies can resurrect and enter into
也就
heaven
是
in
我
the
们
future.
为什么布道会传福音要就是重点就是要 要讲天国，死后有天国的盼望，
This
这是
is-
最重要。
This is also why during this gospel night it's very important for me to emphasize that after we die and after we resurrect, there is heaven that awaits us.
那天国是怎么美丽呢？
And so how beautiful is this heaven?
圣经用我们能够理解的词句，能够理解的一些字啊，来描述天国的美。
So the Bible uses phrases or descriptions that we can understand to describe heaven.
请看启示录21章
Let's turn to Revelation chapter 21,
11节
verse 11.
哦，21章11节，
Revelation chapter 21, verse
这
11.
里说城中有神的荣耀，城中有神的荣耀啊，11节
Oh, Revelation 21, verse 11.
啊，这里说城中有神的荣
Okay,
耀，
here says that the city has the glory of God,
那它的光辉好像宝石这样。
and that her light was like a most precious stone.
看21节，
Now let's read verse 21.
门是12颗珍珠，
And the 12 gates were 12 pearls,
然后呢，街道呢是晶晶的，好像透明的玻璃。
and the street of the city was pure gold like transparent glass.
这些都在描述天国的美、天国的高贵、天国的价值啦。
So all these verses were explaining the beauty, the preciousness, and the value of heaven.
哎，是非常快乐、高贵、美丽的、荣耀的。
It's a very joyful, grand, and beautiful
这个
place.
就是我们将来要去的。
And this is the place that we will all go in the future.
有一个财主，很有钱的人，叫财主。
There is a very rich man.
他要离世前，他祷告求神哦，让他带一些东西回去。
Before he died, he prayed to God to allow him to bring something
其
with
实
him when he
没有
dies.
人可以带东西回去的啦。
But in reality, there's no one who can take anything with
但
him.
是神特别的允许他 ，OK，
But God agreed and told him, okay,
那你会带什么回去呢？
then what would you want to
如
take
果
with you?
可以带的话，你会带什么？
If you can take it with you, what do you want to bring with
当
you?
然是带你最喜欢的、你最爱的喽。
Of course, you'll bring your most favorite and the things that you
你
like
不爱
most.
的、你不喜欢，你会带去咩？
Would you bring something that you dislike?
后来这个财主死了，真是带2箱吼，大箱的2箱提到天上去。
So truly, this rich man died, and he carried 2 big cases of things.
在进天国的时候，有一个大门哦，有2个天使在看门，掌门。
So as he was entering heaven, there's 2 angels that was guarding the door.
什么名字啊？报上名来。
The angel said, "Give me your name.
然后问他：“你带什么来呀、
What did you bring with you?"
没有人可以带东西来的。
Because no one can bring anything into heaven.
神已经答应了的。
But he said, "Oh, God had allowed me.
啊，神已经答应，那你到底带什么来呢？
So what then did you bring?"
是我喜欢的。
Those are things, my
我
favorite
知道你
things.
喜欢，你不喜欢会带上来吗？
I know it's your favorite things. If you don't like them, you wouldn't bring
我
them.
再问你，你到底那2箱是什么呢？
So let me ask you, what are those 2 cases? What are
这
inside?
是我最喜欢的啦
Oh,。these are my favorite things.
讲了老半天还没有讲是什么呀？
So after asking so many
你
questions, he
到底
still
带什么上来？
haven't revealed what he brought. So the angel said, "What did you actually bring?"
没有啦，我只是带2箱金条上来啦。
Oh, nothing. I just brought 2 cases of gold bars.
什么啊？你带什么上来呀、
Oh, what? What did you bring?
我说我带2箱金条上来。
I said, I brought 2 cases of gold bars.
天使听到他带金条上来哦，2位天使在笑哦，哈哈哈哈！你怎么带地砖上来呀？
So when
地
the
砖知道吗？地砖，
yeah tiles
嗯，
yes so so when the angels heard that he brought the gold bars, they were laughing out loud, saying, "Why did you bring tiles that line the street?"
因为这些金条哦，在天国是铺路的，是我们这样的路上的那些砖来的，你怎么带地砖上来呀？
So why did you bring floor tiles? Because in heaven we use the gold bars to line the streets.
这个故事告诉我们什么？
So what does this story tell us?
你在世上，在地上所喜欢的，所很喜欢的，在天上什么价值都没有，一点价值都没有。
So it tells us that the very things that you like so much in heaven, whilst on earth, is valueless in heaven.
我们在金条、金银珠宝在地上才觉得最宝贵，有些人付出生命，死都愿意付出生命都要它的。
So-
在地上，
So in this world, we even give up our lives in order to own this gold, these precious
可
jewelries.
是这些我们喜欢的东西在天上没有用处，
But these things that we like on earth are useless in
甚
heaven.
至连一点价值都没有。
They're even valueless in heaven, not even
拿来
of any
拿
value.
来铺路上的，你要来做什么啊？
It's used to line the streets. Why would you need those?
好像我在马来西亚来的时候，我带那些这个装修物质还剩下的一两块来送给你，你要吗？
Imagine if I bring some leftover tiles from my home renovation and give it to you. Would you appreciate it?
哎呀，亲爱的兄弟姐妹，亲爱的朋友，
So my dear brothers and sisters and friends,
不要一直在意地上的东西啦。
please do not put so much emphasis on
我们
things
在
of the
地
world.
上有吃有用，能够用了就算了。天国不用这些，不用斤斤计较，不用死抱着它带上去，没用的。
So as long as you have
没用
enough
的。
food to eat and clothing to clothe yourselves, that is good enough because all these things is useless in heaven. And do not be so petty.
天国有更有价值的、更荣耀的要给我们，
Heaven has things more valuable and more
所以
glorious prepared
千
for
万不要
us.
为了钱财的事情失去亲情，兄弟姐妹、父母都没有讲，这是最愚蠢的，也是最无知的事
Please
情。
do not be so foolish as to allow wealth and money to disrupt your relationship among your friends and family.
我最后我们做一个结论，
Finally, let me make a conclusion.
我们听到了这个永恒天国的信息。
We have heard the topic eternal exploration,
有一位真神，
that there is a true
充
God,
满爱的神，
and this God is full of
然后
love.
用什么方法？用信心去接触他，去寻找，去
And we have
体验他。
learned that the method to know Him is to use faith.
然后我们也思考了人生的问题，人生的真相。
We have also pondered about the problems of human life and the direction
然
of
后也
human life.
用一个小故事来理解天国的美，天国的价值。
And I've also used a short story to show you the value and preciousness of
现
heaven.
在我想问你，就是你听到了这些信息，你的态度如何？你的态度如何回应这些信息？
So now let me ask you a question. Having heard my message, what then is your attitude towards this message of mine?
对永恒信息的态度，
What is your attitude towards the message of eternity?
你千万不要用拿面换米粉的态度来面对哦。好，那我讲一个故事，什么叫做拿面换米粉？
Okay.
有一个人当面-
He's going to tell a story to illustrate something that I don't understand. Okay.
有一个人到面汤去，老板来一碗面，叫面吃。
Okay. So there's a man who went to a noodle stall to order a bowl of noodle.
不久那面就拿给他了。
Not long after, the bowl of noodle soup came to him.
你为什么拿面给我？
Then he asked, "Why did you serve me this
老
noodle?
板，你刚才不是要面吗？
But didn't you order this earlier?"
我不是要面，我要的是米粉。
"Oh no, I didn't want the noodle. I didn't want the egg noodle. I want the rice noodle."
你现在给我听好，
Okay, now please pay attention.
你现在拿这碗面，拿面去换米粉来。
So please take this bowl of egg noodle and exchange it for rice noodle.
听好了啊，
So you heard it clearly?
不要再弄错了。
Please don't make a mistake
我再
anymore.
讲一次啊，
Let me repeat again.
你这次拿这碗面，拿面去换一碗米粉来。
Take this egg noodle bowl and exchange it for a rice
啊
noodle.
OK， 听清楚了。
So he
拿
said,
拿
"Okay,
面
I
换
understood. I understand."
这个人吃了米粉，吃完了就走了。
So after this person finished the rice noodle, he left.
老板吃面不用给钱。
Then the noodle stall owner said, "Hey, customer, you have to pay for your noodle."
给什么钱哦？
Then this customer said, "What money?
你吃面不用给钱的呗？你吃米粉不用给钱的？
You eat the bowl. You have to pay for it.
给什么钱哦？
What money?
我刚才不是叫你听清楚？
Pay for what? Didn't I say that earlier?
我叫你是不是拿这个面去换那个米粉来，拿面去换那个米粉来，又换来的要给钱啊？
So did I tell you earlier? Please take this this bowl of egg noodle and exchange it for the rice noodle. So
是不是？
it was an even exchange.
是不是？刚才就是叫你拿面去换米粉，是不是？
Am I right? Earlier I asked you to take the egg noodle to exchange it for the rice noodle.
这个伙计说是，是给什么钱呢？
So the noodle stall owner said, "Oh yes, yes, yes. So I can't ask for money."
这个伙计又觉得不对了，不是。
But then the noodle stall owner thought further and
什
said,
么
"No,
不
no,
是
no, no, no."
你是不是拿面换米粉？是不是？
But the customer said, "But you indeed took the egg noodle and exchanged it for my bowl of rice noodle."
这就是拿面换米粉的态度。
Okay, so this is the attitude of taking the egg noodle in exchange
这个
for
是
the rice
这个是
noodle.
歪理啊，这是不讲道理啊。
So this is a wrong thought. It's a 不讲道理.
这个是欺负人呐、
It's an unreasonable.
欺负人呐、
Yes, it's very unreasonable. It's really a bullying of others.
或者我们对善良的人、老实人哦，那些善良的，我们用这种态度哦，可以应付他啦
Yeah.
可以欺骗他啦。
So sometimes we use this unreasonable attitude to treat those who are kind and nice to us.
但请问朋友，你可以用这种的态度、这种理由去面对天上的神吗？
But
可以吗？
dear friends, can you also use this same attitude to treat our heavenly God?
如果就对神，我们也用这种无理的态度、这种歪理的态度、这种不讲理的态度，那我们是很可怕了。
So if we
很可怕。
treat God with such unreasonable attitude, then it's indeed a very dreadful thing.
我说有神就有神，有些人说。
Okay, some people say that I say that there's a God,
我说
so
没有
there
神
is
就
a
是
God.
没有神。
And if I say there's no God, then there's no
哇
God.
有神跟没有神就是你决定的哦。
So-
你决定的，你知道吗？
So whether there's a God or not, you are the one who decides.
有些人说，你信就有神，你不信那就没有神。
So some people say that if you believe, then there's a God. If you don't believe, then there's no God.
那个神哦，有没有就你决定哦，你信就有，你不信神就没有掉了。
So
那你不是比神厉害吗？因为我不信神就消失了，
so whether there's a
神就不
God,
存在了。
so whether there's a God, you are the one who decides. So you are like God.
你信也好，你不信也好，神仍然是存在的，
So-
神不是你决定的。
So whether you believe or not, God still exists. It's not up to you to make that
所
decision.
以有时我们的态度哦，就是刚才那个拿面换米粉态度，就是这样的意思。
So very often our attitude is very similar to the attitude of taking the egg noodle in exchange for the rice noodle.
啊，感谢神！今天我们第一晚上布道会我就讲过笼了，啰嗦。
So thank God I completed the first night of the gospel night. And sorry, I'm rather long-winded.
来看一节圣经来结束。
Now let's read a Bible verse to conclude.
传道书12章，
Let's turn to Ecclesiastes chapter 12.
传道书12章，
Ecclesiastes chapter 12.
我们读13、14节，
Let's read verses 13 to 14.
请念。
Okay. Ecclesiastes 12, verse 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is man's all. 14. For God will bring every work into judgment, including every secret thing, whether good or evil.
这些事都已经听见了，要讲的也讲了，你要听的也听了，因为你不是第一次来听道理吧？
So what I've said, you have heard it before. It's not this, and this may not be your first time
你
to
就算
attend
不
the
是在这
service.
里听，你在别的教会也听过了吧？
And if you have not heard it the first time here, you might have heard it in the other
哦
churches.
我们要讲的也讲了很多次了。
So I have repeated what I wanted to say
因为
many times.
教会不是第一次开布道会啊。
Because this is not the first time that the church conducted the
那
gospel
么
nights.
讲了这么多，听了这么多，总意要是什么？总意就是要我们大家敬畏神，
So-
谨守他的诫命。
So after saying and after hearing so much, what is the conclusion? The conclusion is for us to fear God and keep his
为什么要
commandments.
敬拜神？
So why do we need to fear God?
因为这是人所当尽的本分来的。
Because this is our duty as humans.
你知道什么叫本分吗？
Do you know what it means to what is duty?
好像孩子孝顺父母是本分，没有什么可夸的。
Because for children to show filial piety to their parents is their duty. There's nothing to boast about.
我爸爸很喜欢吃云吞面，我的爸爸，
Okay. My father loves to eat a wonton noodle soup.
那我就是买一包云吞面给他吃。
So I'll buy him a bowl of wonton
然后我
noodle
到学
soup.
校跟我同学说，我买一包云吞面给爸爸吃。
So I told my classmates that I went to school, told my classmates that I bought a
Oh.
bowl of wonton soup for my dad.
遇到另一个同学，我又跟他讲。
Then I met another classmate and I said the same
然
thing.
后老师进来，我又跟他讲。
And when the teacher came in, I told the same thing.
校长进来，我也跟他讲，我刚才买一包云吞面给爸爸吃。我昨天，
When the principal came in, I told the principal that yesterday I bought a wonton noodle for my dad.
这有什么好讲的呀？
What is there to brag about?
我有什么好了不起啊？
What is so great
我
about
自己
that?
讲到自己好像很骄傲、很了不起，做了一件很大的事情。
I speak as if I'm so great, I've done something so great.
爸爸喜欢吃，妈妈喜欢吃，你去买给他吃，这个是 不用讲的呀，
So
不
my-
用去报告的呀。
So my papa and my mama likes it. I bought it for them. You don't have to brag about
这
it.
是我们的本分来的。
This is our duty, basic duty.
爸爸妈妈想吃些什么，我们买给他，这是我们做儿女的本分，没有什么好讲，没有什么好可夸的。你要做的事情，你要去做的事情。
What our parents like to eat, we buy for them. That's our basic duty. Nothing to brag about. It's something you have to do.
拜神也是这样，人的本分来的。
That's the same with worshiping God. It's basic human duty.
不是要请你来敬拜神，就觉得你自己很了不起，好像给神很大的面子，给教会很大的什么恩典，什么东西呀、你给什么呀？
So for you to come to worship God, it's something to brag about. It's not that you are bringing such great blessings to the church.
那不知道有神了就算，知道了就要敬拜他，这是本分。
So if you don't know that there's a God, then we don't have to say that. But if you know that there's a God, it's your basic duty to worship this
最
God.
重要还是14节啦。
So the most important is still verse
因
14.
为人所做的事，无论一切隐藏的，是知道的，是不知道的，人看到的还是没有人看到的，是善的还是恶的，神都必审问，一切神都要审问。
So God will bring every work into judgment, including every secret thing, whether good or evil.
谢谢你，
Thank you all.
唱诗。
Let's sing a hymn.